Okay, today we're going to talk about dyes, stains, and paints for your leather and your leather armor and whatever kind of leather thing you might be making. The dye that I use and I'm most familiar with is the Fiebing's leather dye, and it's an alcohol-based dye. It's not an oil-based, it's alcohol-based, and I use a lot of black, so I buy it by the gallon, and they sell black by the gallon. And U.S. Marine Corps black is what they call that. You can also get it in the quart containers, colors that I don't use as much. I'll pay a little more for the quart containers. You can get numerous colors, blues, reds, green, yellows, purples in the smaller containers. And these little, what are they, 4-ounce containers? Yeah, they're 4-ounce containers. They usually come with their own applicator or dauber. So, bear that in mind. When you're buying it, you get one of those free. Okay, there's also one of the Tandy Leather Store brands that I've tried. Don't really like it that much. A lot of people swear by it. It's the EcoFlow. These are water-based dyes. Not real fond of them, like I say. They also had a brand called Pro Dye. I'm not sure if they're still running that one. Didn't really like this one either. That's just my own personal preference. That has nothing to do with those. Now, what I've found when I'm using the various colors like navy blue, red, oxblood, browns, any of these colors, I dilute them with a 1-to-1 ratio of isopropyl alcohol, and that makes your colors really vibrant and makes them pop instead of these kind of dark, almost black penetrated colors that you'd get otherwise. And it also stretches a 4-ounce bottle into 8 ounces at a 1-to-1 ratio. And I just get an empty like sauce jar, throw my stuff in here, you know, and that's usually about the right size for 8 ounces. Make sure you've got about a 10-ounce jar to hold 8 ounces of liquid. The other thing we've got stains, and they sell stains made specifically for this. This is what I use to get effects, old that's what we use to get like bone effects. This is what I got with this stain here, and using a spritzer to give it a mottled sort of effect, and applicators, just daubing it and getting the effect. You can also stain your leather with good old shoe polish. Yeah, brown shoe polish, black shoe polish. It acts kind of like a stain and a finish all at the same time, because it puts a kind of oily, waxy finish into the leather and penetrates it and makes it somewhat waterproof. So it's a stain and a finish all in one. I also use this to polish up brown and black leather armor, just like you would your shoes. So now, if I want any kind of metallic effects on my leather to kind of give the faux impression of metal, I just use regular old acrylic paints from the hobby store. In fact, they specifically say they're for painting on leather, and I do kind of I put it on with one of my applicators. I just use a sheep's wool applicator to daub it on, and I usually build up layers of it until it gets a kind of nice metallic finish, and it actually puts pieces, these have pieces of metal in them, and it penetrates into the pores of the leather. Now what I'll do when I do a metallic finish, I always start with black. so that if any of this paint rubs off, there's black underneath. Plus it gives it a really nice kind of antique finish. Now, if you're wanting any white leather, you can get the white acrylic paint and you water it down kind of like a whitewash so that it actually penetrates into the leather, and you have to put on 4 or 5 coats, and that actually makes a very nice white finish on your leather that it doesn't really crack, or because once you've penetrated the leather, it's in there, so cracks actually look whitish. That's my experience with the white paint. Now on the white paint, you can apply that either with a brush or an applicator. We actually brushed it on with a big brush just to get all the in because we were doing it on highly tooled work. If you're painting, we can actually apply the dyes with a paintbrush too. If we're wanting to get like a nice fine edge that is a different color than the body of the armor plate, we'll come in with a paintbrush and brush the dye on instead of the dauber applicators. And speaking of applicators, we've got the different size daubers. What I've found is I just use the one size dauber, the small daubers, the ones that come in the boxes. I bought some of the bigger daubers, and they're not really necessary. So I've got a bunch of them that I never use. Other applicators they sell bags of scraps of sheep's wool that up the bag there. They come in some pretty big chunks like this. You can actually use this for projects if you want, but you just cut these down to smaller sizes that you can work with, and then get all the excess stuff off. I always come around and get the excess, because as you can see, it's not really doing it there, but when you cut it, it comes off in little tufts, and you just get all that off so it's not on your leather when you go to dye it. And I reuse those pieces again and again and again and again. So all the various colors, I keep my applicators and some of the paint brushes that have been there. Those are the brushes that are designated to that. Otherwise, I keep daubers that I use a lot of. I keep them in a jar, ready to go. Use black all the time, so we've got it in a jar, ready to go, and a small jar of black, ready to go. Let's see. Okay, gloves. Now, you can buy yourself some of these heavy-duty, like gloves for doing dishes and chemicals and all that. And they work fine, but they get a buildup on them after a while that you can will get onto your leather, and I prefer to use the disposables that I can just. I actually use these several times before I throw them away, and that way we're not getting a buildup that when you're working with your leather, your dye, or your finish, you don't get a sticky, different color onto your stuff. Plus, you can't use it for various colors. You can only use those for one color at a time. So get yourself a box or a bag of disposables. That's the way to go. So right now we're gonna go through dyeing a piece of leather, an armor. This is just a bracer piece, a one-piece bracer that eventually we will show you the wet forming of it, or something like it. Now I've got my black applicator. We keep it's ready to go. It just stays in that And that's what I use to apply to all my big pieces. What we'll do is we'll start with the edges, and I just use the dauber for the edges. And then get some on your. I'm just going to take my big jug here. And I'm going to apply it liberally in a kind of swirling, rotating motion. And the idea is to work the dye down into the pores of the leather so it's fairly permanent. Now, when I talked about diluting your colors, that doesn't work so much for the black. If you dilute the black, it just makes you have to put more coats of black on it. And we just keep going around and around until I'm satisfied that I've got a full coating on it. Let's hold it up in the light so we can see if we have any light spots. That looks like we've got it penetrated pretty well, so we're going to leave it at that. Okay, the next step after this is we're going to mark our holes, punch them, and then we go to wet forming. That's about it for dyes, stains, and paints that you can use on your leather. And just a quick demo of the dye. At some point later on, when I'm working on some pieces, I'll show you how we do the stain. And if we work on some metallic type pieces, we'll show you how we do that. If you have any questions about any of the things you've seen in this video, feel free to comment and ask me about them. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hey, thanks to all the new subscribers that are out there subscribing. Tell all your friends, anybody that wants to learn about making leather armor, please do ask me. And hey, thanks to Turbo Monkey, he's really throwing some ideas out there. He's asking for all kinds of... Please, everybody else, ask me what you want to see. We'll have a video on it. See you next time.